Good evening, friends. I'm Dr. Aajay Shah, and we are bringing this another Facebook Live tonight. I have some good news to share. We have now crossed 27,000 followers. Thanks to all of you. Thanks to all of you who are joining our journey. Thanks to all of you who have invited your friends and family to join our journey. We are also bringing all different type of guests to further enhance our movement. We have expanded our pillars of healthy lifestyle into 14 pillars, which includes original 6 pillars, plus other pillars, including relationship, finances, education, women empowerment, environment, animal welfare, and many other pillars, total about 14 pillars. And we have started this women empowerment series. We already had 3 or 4 guests already. They're all on the YouTube video already. We also are doing this live cooking demonstration with a healthy, mostly vegan meals. So our movement definitely is growing. We have actually an exciting news. Dr. Joe Khan, one of my favorite cardiologists from Detroit area, a very popular speaker in a whole food plant-based circuit. He has agreed to come on live, Dr. Joe Khan. So that will be an exciting. I'll be updating with what date and time he will be on. So please stay tuned for Joe Khan. And tonight is our Women Empowerment Series ongoing on a Facebook Live. So today, I'm bringing you a guest who already has not empowered many women and many people, but she's already doing it every day. And she's going to do it for next many, many decades. Our guest, who is a mother, a spouse, a leader, a derby player, which she will tell us about, a veteran, a veterinarian tech, a great motivator, and also particularly to the young girls. So that person is Tammy Hopp. Let's welcome Tammy. Welcome, Tammy.
Hi, thank you, Dr. J. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so first question, simple question. Where do you live and who's in your family?
I live in Brooklyn, Michigan. It's south of Jackson. And I have a husband named Eric and a 4-year-old son named Matthew. I'm actually pregnant with our second daughter right now, so soon to have another. And then, yeah, we have a dog and 3 cats as well.
Oh, that's great. Yes, yes. And where did you grow up and who influenced you in the childhood?
I grew up in Indiana, like around Goshen, Elkhart area. And I guess my father influenced me quite a bit as a child, and my grandmother, his mother.
That's great. Yeah, I was in South Bend, Indiana. I was actually in Plymouth, Indiana for 1 year. So I know the Goshen. I've been to Goshen many times, actually. One of our close friends actually works in Goshen now. So yes, it's a great place. Yes, yes.
Nice town. Yep.
Nice town. Yeah. Where did you go to college and who influenced you in the college?
I went to Baker College. It's a community college up here. I went for an associate's in applied sciences, so I can get my license in veterinary technology. And I guess who influenced me in college the most was probably our program director, Katrina Bowers. She demands excellence, and I appreciate that from her, especially in the career now.
Yes, yes, that's great. So tell us first about where do you work now and what kind of job you have and what kind of role you have?
I actually went into research a couple of years ago. There's a preclinical research lab here close by, and so I help run studies and take care of preclinical studies. Are the first time that these infectious disease treatments are being tried in vivo in mice and rats. And so there's a lot of animal care involved with that.
Wow, that's very impressive. So this antibiotics and this research being done is for the use in animals?
No, it's for use in humans.
For humans, but they are doing the preclinical animal trials to be further expanded into human trials. Wow.
Correct, yeah.
And where is this located?
Close to Brooklyn, in Napoleon. It's a very small town. Jackson.
Wow, that's impressive. That's impressive. Wow.
Yeah. Good work.
It's a private company.
Yeah, Transfarm.
Transfarm. Okay.
Clinical Solutions. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And who are your typical clients?
Who are our clients?
Yeah.
I can't really talk about who our clients are, but we have clients all over the world.
All over the world. That's what I meant to. That's what I meant to ask you. So you have clients from all over the world, and that's really impressive for a size of Napoleon town to have this kind of. It's I could never think of it. That's amazing. That's great.
Yeah, our boss is a great entrepreneur.
That's nice. And
Nice.
then we were talking earlier about this STEM project. So please tell us what STEM stands for and your role so far, and what do you think is the like a growing a growing presence of girls in the STEM project?
Yeah, and STEM careers, this is something that I don't really remember in being influenced much when I was a child, but it stands for science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and careers, right? And I was always really interested in math, and I know my father really wanted me to be an engineer because he did too, but I don't know, I feel like it wasn't really a career that women take on very often. And now that I know more about it, it's very true. Only 20% of engineers in America are women, and then about 19% are in mathematics, something like that. So very few, compared to 50-50. And so, yeah, there is a big movement to try to influence girls and women to branch off into those careers because they're very, very promising.
Yeah, I think I 100% support that movement. I support person like you who's active in it. I believe in not less equality, but I sincerely believe that women needs to not just catch up but go ahead because I think they need to regain what they've lost for last 5,000 years. I've given a talk on women empowerment, and I talked about it that before 5,000 years, men and women were treated equal. It's just this creation of last 5,000 years where we somehow think that man is superior to women. So I think we will catch up. We all are here. I mean, you are here, I'm here, and we'll make sure that it happens. But I think the good news is that our daughter is in medical school and her class has a 51% girls. So in
Yeah.
medical, girls are catching up for sure. But I agree, math, I think we need to see the same kind of change. I agree with you.
Yeah.
And then I hear that you were also in military and you were overseas also. Please tell us what branch you were in, what was your role, and what experience you had.
I chose to do the Navy Reserves instead of going to college right away. Kind of for maybe I wasn't sure if I wanted to go to college yet, but at least help figuring out what I wanted to do for a career. And so I went with the construction battalion. It was in 2008 I enlisted. And yeah, in 2010 to 2011, I deployed. I was in Afghanistan, and I don't know, so we're a construction battalion. So we did anything from building buildings to erecting towers to building the perimeter around. Those are just things that I did, at least. And it was, I don't know, a great influence on me to really see what people are doing overseas and keeping this country safe and how many countries aren't safe.
Yeah. No, I think not only we definitely value your service and we thank you for your service. I have very high respect for every person who serves our country, whether they are in a construction or they are in a medical side of the army or they're soldiers themselves or they are generals, any field, because truly their mission is to keep America safe. And every person who's in any branch of the military serves equally, in my opinion. They all have a role. I mean, just like in medical field, doctors, nurses, phlebotomists, technicians, ER technicians, everybody, respiratory technicians, they all have a role. Same way in military, every person who is in military has an important role. Without that one person, other people cannot work. So I think we really appreciate you serving. And I'm sure, people in the world, people in the country realize that, Army is an important part of having a stable nation. I think sometimes, with the current environment, sometimes we said that, a lot of wars are happening. But to be honest with you, right now is the most peaceful time in last 5,000 years. Before 4,000 years, there were many wars. Like when I read history in Europe or when I read history in India, there were small kingdoms which they were fighting every 2-3 months, every 6 months. At least I think so. I think there is plus. I think when America is strong, somehow the other countries stay in shape and order, and less wars happen. I think obviously some wars will always happen. There are crazy dictators, crazy people out there. But I think
Yeah.
overall, because of service from people like you, I think we do well as a stable, strong country. So that's a great feeling.
Hmm.
So next question is a fun question that you are in a roller derby team. So tell us, what is roller derby first? I did not know until I met Hannah. I mean, I knew about roller skating, but roller derby, I didn't know. So tell us, what is roller derby? How popular it is? How do you play and how often do you play?
Yeah, I didn't know about it until I met Hannah either. Thanks, Hannah. She recruited me. So it's kind of an underground fan club, I would say. Once you get to know it, and you realize there's teams all over the place. I wish I knew how many teams there were in Michigan. 20, 30, throwing that out there. Sorry if I'm wrong. But I play for the Irish Hills Bombshells. We're part of Jackson. Right now, everything's shut down with COVID, so that's very sad. But usually our season runs from like March till September, and we play once a month. We call the games bouts. And what were some of your other questions about it?
No, like what do you enjoy about it, and how people can get part of it?
Yeah, so I very much enjoy my team members. It's a positive community of women and men. There's some co-ed teams, but usually it's just women who are players, and then men can help with reffing or as officials. But I really enjoy being part of a team, and we not only play and compete and stay physically active, right, but we also try to do good in the community as well, by reaching out and helping, I don't know, nonprofits and fundraisers and things like that.
So it's almost like a Girl Scout for older girls, where they play a sport, they do other activities, they do community service. And
Yeah.
I think I like the physical part, because I think it's so important that we just don't sit and talk. I think everybody needs to be active and sit again when necessary, but have some physical component with every group activity. So I'm glad you do that. I think that's an important activity. So
I like
let's
that
dive
Girl
in.
Scout analogy because I was in Girl Scouts for 11 years.
Yeah.
So I like that.
Because Girl Scouts, I mean, I've taken our daughter to camping and trailing, and I think so. And then we sat and we sold cookies, and so I think it was a great bonding and great camaraderie and great leadership. And so I think,
Absolutely.
Let's get into what I like about, and I like to get your opinion as a person, as a mom, as a spouse, as an American. So right now, chronic disease in America is becoming very, very common, and those include obesity, high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease, cancer. Those things are Alzheimer's disease. Those things are becoming very, very common, and partly that's because of our lifestyle. So I taken up this mission to help every person, not just in America, but the world, how to have a healthy lifestyle. And our College of Lifestyle Medicine, which I'm board certified into it, has 6 pillars. These are original 6 pillars which I learned. And those 6 pillars include healthy eating, exercise or physical activity, sleep, substance abuse, including alcohol, stress management, and relationship. So let's cover all those 6 pillars from your perspective, from person who does it every day. So tell us about healthy eating. What is your kind of way where you describe what is healthy eating?
I do my best to eat. Well, okay, sorry, let me think. So at home, we cook almost every meal. We do, I try to make sure to eat things that are whole. We don't mix boxed meals. And then we eat lots of fruits and vegetables. We try to go meatless once a week, but that's about as far as we've gone there. And yeah.
No, I think that's a good answer. I think number one point you made was eat as much at home as you can, because even the same dish, eating at restaurant versus making it at home has so much more nutritive value, including low salt, lower oil, lower cheese, lower butter, and you can make it as healthy as you like. And many times it's tastier, and it saves you money too. Obviously, right now with restaurants being closed, most people are eating home. But I hope this trend continues. Second thing, you say you don't eat that much boxed food. That means not that much processed food. In America, 60% of our calories come from processed food. So I agree. That's a cooking ourselves and eating. I think I definitely would say that as American, we eat a lot more animal products than we should. So I'm glad you are
Mhm.
doing one meatless day a week. And I hope that those days become more frequent because I think people in blue zones where people live long, people live healthy, they typically
Mhm.
have meat 3 out of 21 meals and very small amount of meat, just 3 out of 21 meals. Well, in
Mhm.
America, it's 21 out of 21 meals where there are some animal products. So I think, how about what do you think about the physical activity and exercise? What do you think that plays a role in healthy lifestyle?
Um, for me, I try to make sure to do yoga and stretching and walking. I really like walking after eating, especially. Um, and then with roller derby, it's a real big motivator for me to work out outside of the sport. Does that make sense? It's
Yes,
like a
yes.
goal I have, and that's why I work out, so that I can be better at roller derby.
No, I think that again, that's an excellent answer. I think that's a reason I absolutely enjoy having person like you because you are living the life of a healthy lifestyle. But to live healthy lifestyle in terms of physical activity, number one, you just need to simply walk. Walking almost is as good as any heavy physical activity or running. If you walk 30 minutes a day, brisk walk, it gives you most benefits what exercise can give you. So I tell people that you don't have to run marathon. Just walk 20 to 30 minutes every day as brisk as you can, number one. Number two, many people don't realize that yoga and stretching is as important as lifting weights and running, exercise, walking or jogging. So I'm glad you do the yoga too. I think yoga has caught on in America and many people are doing it. I have some of the friends who are like 1 hour yoga every day. They actually do more yoga than even weightlifting. So, and they look very fit, they're very strong, the core is very strong, and I can just see that yoga is benefiting them. So I'm glad you do that. And the third thing, which important point you made, is that involve into a group sport where you actually are physically active and you are bonding and you are learning from each other and taking some leadership role. Because if you just go for running yourself, it's doable, but eventually it gets boring because there is no social connection. So I think Derby provides you that social connection plus the physical activity. So that's a great. How about the sleep? What do you think the role of the sleep in healthy lifestyle?
Oh, yes, I definitely feel much better when I get my proper rest. So, going to sleep at night with sounds have been helping me a lot lately. It has been harder for me to sleep. I think maybe some sort of pregnancy insomnia, but I
Yeah,
try to
yeah,
have relaxing sounds and
yeah,
make sure to go to bed early, usually when my son goes to bed.
yes,
Yeah.
yes.
But yeah, it definitely makes a big difference the next day.
Yeah, I think I agree. I think sleep is another important pillar, and I always tell myself and everybody that at least get 7 hours of sleep and track somehow the sleep if you have a Fitbit or some kind of device, so you know
Mm.
whether you're getting deep sleep or REM sleep or not. So I think I strongly advise everybody to get $69 Fitbit which tracks your sleep at night and tells you how many hours and how many minutes do you sleep. So that way there is a way of knowing whether you're getting enough sleep or not. I think if you don't, in my opinion, if you don't measure it, you don't know where you are going. I think it applies to physical activity also. I think for steps, if you're going for a walk, consider investing into a $69 Fitbit. That way you know how many steps you did. And plus that way it gives you a motivation. If you did steps less one day, next day you probably will catch up by doing more steps. So your weekly average will be same. How about substance abuse and alcohol? What do you think that role plays in everybody's healthy lifestyle?
Yeah, I did listen to your 6 pillars, and you were talking about the substance abuse, and then you brought in alcohol, and that is one thing that I know is a problem in my life when I'm not pregnant. Um, it's just a thing that relaxes you at the end of the day, and but it's a slippery slope, and so I did agree with what you said, and shocked at how many Americans and how many young people. It's just such a part of the lifestyle here. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
think I agree. I think we all have probably some alcohol issue, but at the
Mhm.
same time, I think if we realize what it can do to our body, and to our relationship, and to our overall well-being, I think we will limit to probably one drink a night, maybe one drink 2, 3 times a week, and we will limit to anything which is much more safer than having those hard liquor. So I agree with you. How about in terms of the stress management? What do you do for stress management? Where do you put yourself in terms of the stress in your life, and how do you juggle being a mom and being a pregnant mom, being a spouse, being a researcher, just derby, just too many things. And most people said that I would get stressed out, but you look happy and smiling. And so how do you manage that?
Oh, I get stressed out. I do. But no, I try to really plan things out. I love writing things down. Some people like digital planners, but I like to have my bullet journal. And so I just write out to-do lists, and I still try to be productive, because that's what really makes me feel good throughout the day. And it's the little things that can make me feel productive. If I do a small load of laundry, it's still something, and I try to give myself grace during this time. Whoops.
That's good. Yeah.
That's my cat.
That's yeah, nice.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
But yeah, that's stress management. And then self-care is a word that's been used quite a bit lately. But yeah, you try to make sure to schedule in time to rest and to take a bath or paint your nails or something to take care of yourself.
No, I think I agree with you. I think stress management, obviously, there are books and books written on it, but I think simply it boils down to self-care, like you said. And I think having half an hour for yourself where you unwind, where you sit down, reflect on it. I also highly recommend keeping a journal. And I like your idea of having a bullet point to-do list, whether it's in the phone or it's a small diary, because when you check off that, there's actually proof, there's a data actually. When you check off one thing done, there's a little dopamine surge in the brain, and that makes you feel better. Dopamine is a feel-good hormone. It actually, when you check off that I did laundry, you actually surge that dopamine, and that makes you feel good. Next time you check off that I did the grocery shopping, you check it off, and at the end of the day, in the evening, there are 14 check marks. And when you go to sleep, when you see those 14 check marks, you immediately feel, relaxed and sleepy. And so I highly recommend everybody to not just journal and have a gratitude journal, but also have a to-do list and check it off. So that way you can keep getting those dopamine surge every time you check it off. So, and how about relationship? How do you juggle all this thing and maintain a relationship as a spouse, as a mom, as friends, and as family?
Well, so my relationship with my husband is probably my highest goal. I don't know, I've heard a lot with parenting that your relationship with your child is very important, obviously, but the relationship that they see you enact every day with your spouse is even more meaningful to them. And then my son, I definitely try to have, phone-free, one-on-one, listening to what he says, times when I just listen. And then one of my biggest relationships is with my sister, and I just try to make sure to communicate with her as often as I can, but she is long distance. And yeah, it's definitely important to keep those important people close to you, especially during times like this. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a very good point, because there's enough proof that loneliness is as bad as smoking when it comes down to heart disease and heart attack. So people who don't have a healthy relationship, they actually have a lot more risk of dying from heart disease, even just dying prematurely. People who are lonely, they just don't do well. So relationship, and I think commitment to relationship, giving time. In the relationship, I always call it a give and take. You cannot just keep taking it, or you cannot just keep giving it. It has to be a two-way street when it comes down to relationships. So I think, well, I agree with you. I think having a relation with your life partner, your spouse, is probably the number one goal. And like kids see that, and they also will mimic in their life. And then having a relationship with a brother, sister, or a friend who's very close to you, where you can actually talk anything, any problem, any good thing happening. And that way, I think you almost feel like you got a buddy. And I think everybody should have one person who is not their spouse or life partner, who is their friend or anybody, sister or brother, who can they talk to? Because sometimes you want to keep certain things, a little different and confidential from your spouse. I mean, something what you are going through, you want to get a little piece of advice, and you may not want to ask your spouse. So I agree with you. I think so. Looks like, I mean, all 6 pillars you are balancing very well. So that many doctors don't do that.
That's nice to say. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'll tell you, many doctors, many doctors don't have those 6 pillars. Many doctors don't have even 3 pillars managed properly. Many doctors don't exercise. Sometimes they don't eat healthy. They don't sleep well. I mean, sometimes obviously they have stress and, so I think that's the reason I think I always say that bringing person like you teaches more to me and to our followers and bringing some professional who is not living a healthy lifestyle. So that's a great thing. So let's go to what you originally studied for. You studied for veterinarian tech. So tell us that how often a person's pet should be taken to veterinarian and what kind of services they should get and any kind of a specific preventative thing they should do for the pets?
I definitely think that pets should be seen by a doctor at least once a year. Any vaccines that they're due for depends on the pet's lifestyle and what kind of pet it is. If it's a dog or cat or another species. And then, but as they get older, you really have to take into account, subtle signs with pets because they don't tend to show their pain as well or their illness as well. So blood work, and urinalysis as well is huge helps for veterinarians to really find out preventative care for all those diseases that you mentioned earlier, the chronic ones like diabetes, finding that out through blood work so that and heart disease, and through x-rays, so that your veterinarian can help the longevity of your pet for sure.
Yeah. So let me ask you, because we never had a pet in our house. Just give you a simple question. If somebody has a dog, what is the average cost for veterinarian for a dog per year?
For an annual exam and vaccines, I would guess around $100 to $150, depending on which vet you're going to. And then preventative care for dogs, heartworm treatment is a huge thing. And again, it depends on the pet's lifestyle for other preventative medications, but heartworm medication can range depending on your pet size from like $8 to $15 a month. And it can go up from there, and flea prevention as well. But for heartworm, it's literally worms that will live in the heart, and it's just so much easier to prevent than it is to treat. It is a huge risk to your pet's life if they do get that. So that's what I encourage for dogs.
Yep. Yeah. So about $300 a year. I think for many people, their pet is their family member, and I think spending $300 for a family member per year to keep them healthy and keep them active and keep them going, because I've seen many of my patients, we never had pet, but I've seen many of my patients and friends, when their pet died, they literally go through that grieving and more, they feel like they lost their family member. And some people who are like single or who are on a lonely side, they actually have pet as their best friend. So I think I agree with you. I think and why would you not take care of your best friend? So I think that's a great point. So next question is like, we take this women empowerment as one of the important pillar of our movement. I sincerely think that a woman, either a mom or a sister or a wife or a daughter, has so much role to play in this society, in my opinion. And I've given that talk. Actually, women actually can do more than a man can do. I think they are more capable. I sincerely believe in that. And William Golding, actually a Nobel Prize winner, said the same thing, that women actually are superior. They're not just not inferior, they're not equal, they're actually superior. I think many women juggle so many things every day, and they do so well. If man was given that many tasks in a day, that man would fail miserably. And women just do so well. So I really admire that part. I admire my wife, admire daughter, admire you, admire all the women in my life. So tell us that, what is your message? And be as detailed as you want to. What is your message to young girls, to women your age, older than you, even women who are in the 70s and 80s, how to be strong and how our society can empower them?
Well, I think not only do people expect a lot from women, but we expect a lot from ourselves. And so something that I guess I've learned is perfection isn't always possible. It's good to try things and to not be afraid of failing. And sometimes you might fall, sometimes you might get it wrong, but you need to not wallow in that and get back up and try again. Because you are capable of doing a lot, for sure. We try to handle everything, and asking for help from our relationships is important as well.
No, I think I agree. I think number one, women needs to support each other. I think many times I've seen that workplace, there are more woman quarrels, which I think is really, in my opinion, is an unnecessary thing. I think that needs to be, in my opinion, addressed first. We see that in politics, we see that at workplace, we see that in the colleges. I mean, it's just not necessary. I think that number one needs to be resolved. Number two, I think women needs to realize that when they take any responsibility, they don't have to be, like you said, they don't have to be 100% perfect and 100% accurate and 100% effective and 100% successful. I think giving an effort and giving an attempt and giving your best shot and giving your hardest work, giving your smartest work is your reward. You don't need to wait for someone to tell you that you won. I think you win as soon as you give your best effort and best shot at anything given to you. And I think many women don't think that. Many women think that unless they get the last final prize, they were not worth it. That's not true. I think I just was reading that many times man gets a promotion for their potential, while women gets a promotion for their past history. So that's such a profound statement. They look in the man what a man will do, while they look in the woman what woman has done. That to me is absolutely biased, absolutely wrong. So I think we need to remove all those things. And I think as society progresses, as we have one day a woman president or woman vice president, I think we will start to realize that women are capable of doing same thing, exactly same thing, whether they are in the army, whether they are pilots, whether they are astronauts, whether they are senators. And I think that's what I'm trying to bring this our Women Empower series to all of our followers and to everybody in the world, that let's do everything in our power to empower every woman. And that work begins at home. If you have a daughter, if you have a son, make sure you treat them equally. Whatever education you give it to your son, make sure your daughter gets the same education. If you look at the illiterate people in the world, 2/3 are women. 2/3 illiterate people in the world are women, because that's a clear-cut bias. Many countries, they don't send the girls to school. That absolutely, in my opinion, is wrong. That needs to change. And I think as we bring people like you more and more, as we talk to people who go through this thing, day-to-day thing, and who are successful, who can be role model, who can be leader, I think our movement will get bigger and bigger. So let me ask you some simple questions now. What are the top 3 books you have read and you recommend?
I really like Brene Brown's Rising Strong. She's a good speaker in general, and she has a few good books out there. Another one about imperfection as well. But that Rising Strong is about shame a lot. Okay. And then Dave Ramsey's Total Money Makeover. I really, sometimes he's kind of a callous man, but I really appreciate his testimony, and he has very good advice. And then, can I say a podcast instead of a? Of course, a book? Yes. Yeah, podcast is as good as a book. Yeah, I really enjoy Stuff You Missed in History Class. Okay. Tracy V. Wilson and Holly Fry. So a lot of so it's history podcasts, but a lot of their stories are about women and minorities in history that, are just whitewashed over in our classes. And so I've learned a lot through that podcast. That's nice. But I learned something today, for sure, Tammy. I'm going to ask the question differently. I'm going to ask what books or podcasts or YouTube authors you enjoy, because I agree, many of people who are half my age like you are have moved on from the books to the podcast, to the YouTube videos, to the listening to tapes like audio books and other things. So I agree. I think that's a great point. And last question to you. Who are your top 3 role models? You already said your father, your grandmother, anybody from the history, anybody current living in America, living in the world? I wasn't really prepared for this question. I was going to say Mel Robbins. I really like listening to her.
Yes,
as
I agree.
well.
I agree. My wife loves her too. Yeah.
Yeah. Michelle Obama.
Michelle Obama for sure.
Yeah. Her book is definitely on my list to read.
Becoming.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a great book. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
No, I think I agree with you. I think in my opinion, and I think I had many speakers and many guests, and including you now, that most of our role models are actually right within few distant, like within a few miles from us. Many times they are living in our own house. You know, it could be your spouse, could be your mom, could be your dad, could be your brother. So I think always look up to the people who are right close to you, because you can mimic them easily. You can know their ups and downs. You can talk to them. You know, because if I have to, or if you have to meet Michelle Obama, that would be probably once in a lifetime experience. But I can talk to my dad, my dad is still alive. I can talk to him every day if I want to. So I think I agree. Have a role models who you can approach and who you can communicate much more frequently than just have those, big role models from history who are dead or who are alive, but you can't even talk to them. So I agree. That's a good point.
Yeah.
So,
I tend to try to admire little things in many different people rather than ever really having a solid role model, because I don't know, I just feel like somebody always disappoints you in some way. Sadly enough, we're all human. I'm not perfect, nobody is, but yeah, I just try to learn. You said something earlier about you can learn something from everybody, and so I try to see good in people and try to mimic that.
No, I think that's another good point you made, that many time actually our molding happens from many role models, and we take small pieces of everybody's good behavior and good traits and good attitudes, and we actually mold ourselves into it. So I agree. I think asking a 3 top role model probably is another older question, but I agree. I think, but like for me, I think most of my family members are my role models. So I agree with you. So I think you definitely have brought a special aspect to our Facebook Live. You are a successful mom. You are a successful now a pregnant woman with a second baby on the way, successful spouse, a great worker, great leader, a great healthy lifestyle, like uh, somebody who does it every day. So I think to me, a person like you brings a lot. We're gonna keep bringing people like you probably at least 2-3 times a month. We're going to also bring other doctors. We're going to bring other professionals. We're going to bring everybody who has any interest in empowering women, man or woman, any age, from any background. We're going to keep bringing those people to bring the message of change, message of empowerment, message of growth, message of essentially taking a pride in being a woman. I think many women, like I keep reading these books, many women, many times, they're not even proud that they were born as women. All those things are the treatment of women for last 5,000 years. I've seen many professional women, when they give a birth to a baby girl, sometimes they tell their husband, I'm sorry, honey, as if like giving a birth to a baby girl was some kind of a crime thing or some kind of wrong thing to happen. If it was a baby boy born, whole family. So I think those things are changing. My medical school class had 34 girls out of 100. So my medical school class was already changing. This was 40 years ago in 1980. So I'm hoping this change speeds up and we have a woman president very soon. Maybe you can be soon run for the office.
Yeah, maybe the next generation. Yeah.
Next generation. So again, I'm going to conclude here. To all of our followers, thank you for joining. Please share if you like our Facebook Live today. This will be on YouTube in few hours, so you'll be able to watch it again and again. Once again, we are growing very rapidly. We have 27,000 followers. We are on Instagram. We are on YouTube, Healthy Living with Dr. Shah. We already have about 100 videos on YouTube, all various topics, including living healthy, sleep, exercise, relationship, happiness, even some life philosophy like stoicism. So please reach out to our videos on YouTube. And let's thank Tammy. Thank you, Tammy. And we'll see you again.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.